think he's in Israel. Huh? He's in Israel now. Yeah, but he's coming back.
When is he back?
Did he? Even before Shabbos, because he had a grandson, Shalom Zachar. He's probably coming back. Yeah.
Okay, we're recording.
All right. Good morning. Today is Daf Mem Gimel. I got a lot of Gemara to do. The hour is late, and away we go. No.
Yeah, what?
My fault.
Fire me.
Sukkah zero needs to be 11 to 12 minutes, and then Shabbos. All right. Anyways, bottom line, Membez. Yatem Chaim. You guys are not like the enemies. You don't come with the Melech Basar Adam. You come with the king of Melech Malachim. The Kol Kach Lama. That's why they have the whole lashon. Hashem is Holech, right? Holech Yibachem. What's this whole lashon? Kol Kach Lama. Hashem Kol Kirov Munachim Bi'ara. Because Hashem and all His names and the Yukevavke and that power, He goes along with Him. He's in the Yara. It's not just you'll have a blessing from God, but He will wage the war for you. It says that's Pinchas. So it says over there, and he sent them. Moshe sent out 1,000 from the tribe out to battle, and Pinchas. So Oisam Elu Sanhedrin, that was referring to the Sanhedrin went along. Pinchas Zemashuk Machama. Pinchas was Mashuk Machama. The Kli Kodesh, it says later on Kli Kodesh. The Aaron, the Luchos, the Aaron Luchos, the one, the Luchos Shabo, the Chazotzos, and the Chazotzos, Hatruros, Ela Shofar. So the Shofars. These are all items that are brought out to the battlefields. And Tana, so not for naught did Pinchas go to war, but rather to go ahead and repay the din to Avi Imo, the father of his mother. Right now, remember. So his we know his father. His father was right. So let's say right. His father was Eliezer, right? Mm-hmm. Pinchas, but right. So he says, the Midyanim, and this was against the war against Midyan. So he went to go ahead and fight back against Midyan for selling his grandfather. So the name of the Pinchas be Yosef. You tell me the Pinchas can be Yosef. Steve, it says Velazar ben Aaron lo kachlo mi benois Potiel lo Isha. And Elazar went ahead and took for him a wife from the daughters of Potiel. And my love does see me Yisro Shapitim Chavim. Who is Potiel? Was that a reference to Yisro, who used to the lashon of Potiel means to fatten. He would fatten the gods for idol worship. The Gemara answers lo miyosef. Rather, from these not lo miyosef. Rather refers to Yosef. Shapifat b'Yitzro. Right, that he basically battled his Yetzer. But we have another lima that says the Shvatim went ahead and mocked or said about regarding Pinchas. Ben Shavitim Avi Imo Agol Avaris Kachavim Yahara of Nasim Yisrael, when he got up and he killed Zimri, right? When he got up and killed him. So the other Shvatim mocked him. He says, isn't this somebody who his father comes from Yisrael, who went ahead and fattened the gods? So you see, he's from Yisrael. So Ella Yavur the Imam Yosef, Imam the Yisrael, right? If the father of his mother was from Yosef, then the mother was from Yisrael. Made the Imam Yosef, and his mother's mother was from Yosef. Then Avur the Imam, then the father of his mother was from Yisrael. Now he came from both. And the Benos Putiel, right? So Putiel is both. It says Benos Putiel, the daughters of Putiel, Trey Mashma Shmamina. So two types of Putiels, right? One Shapite for Yisro, and the other one that was Shapite Ago. Fine. Nine Mishnah. So the Mishnah says V'davra Sheitim Elam. So we'll soon see in the lashon. The first couple psukim of the parsha mentions the Kohen approaches, and then it says over there. Pasuk Hey, it says V'dibra Sheitim, and the officers go speak Elam. So they more, and they say Miyesh Shabana Bayis Chodesh Lechancho. So whoever came out here, they built a house, and they have not inaugurated it yet. They have not moved in yet. No one has moved in. They just built it, but they haven't. So then, such a person goes back. So Echad Habayna, whether he built it, Echad Habayna, whether it's a house. Echad Habayna by Beis HaTeven. Whether it's like a straw house, and that doesn't have to be a house that one lives in, or base of bakar, or a cattle house, base of eitzim, or something that stores wood, base of eitzos, or storage house. And echad abayna, whether he built it, echad alokech, or he purchased it, he just purchased a new house, echad yoresh, or he inherited, he just inherited, echad shenas matana was given to as a gift. All these are reasons of a ptur. And then it goes down. Next part says, and who is the person who went ahead and planted a vineyard and did not was mechalat, did not redeem it? Now, as we know, by the first 3 years of a field is orla. The 4th year is called netaravai. Basically, you go ahead and redeem it, and then you can go ahead and you pay money. That money, right? And then in lieu of that, you go ahead and enjoy from the produce. So someone planted a vineyard within its after his first 3 years, and now it's his 4th year, and he has a machalet. So he goes back. Whether he planted a kerem, or whether he planted 5 fruit trees, even if they're 5 different species. And now these, the way that these are shaped, together, what classifies as vineyard is that beautiful picture in the Rashi, right? You basically have a square plus a tail. We're actually going to see that a little bit towards later on the base. So that is something which is all grouped together, which is considered like a vineyard or an orchard, right? If it's just a row of 5 trees, that doesn't qualify. It doesn't look as a group of trees. It has to be something like this, obviously, or it could be larger. Whether one goes ahead and plants it, or he layers it, or he grafts it, right? Layering is you sort of replant something that's still attached, and grafting is you take from another tree, right, and you put the branches in and let it, grow out from there. Whether he purchased it, or inherited it, as a gift. And then it says, a person who got engaged to a woman, he can go back. Echad Amar says a basula, whether a person got engaged, right, betrothed to a basula, a woman who's never been married for it. As Amar says, almana, or one that, let's say, was widowed. Afilu shomeres yavam, even if he has a shomeres yavam, right, his brother dies, and he has to marry his wife, so he falls to him. That's like that zika is like an erusin, and therefore he goes back. Afilu shama shemei sachiv b'machama chayzer, right? Even if he's out of war and he hears the brother died, he comes back. Ubalai, Ko'elu, the Elu. So all these, they go out to, even though, right? So everyone who was drafted, they all go out. Shemin Divrei Kohen, Maracha, Milchama. And I was then the Kohen says, hey, all these people, they sit over at the border. If you guys qualify for any of these, you built a house, but you haven't lived in it yet, all you guys go back. They have to go ahead and provide for the needs of their fellow soldiers, and they fix the roads, but they don't go back home. They're not completely off, right? They still have responsibilities.
Amen.
And these are the do not go ahead. One goes basically a gatehouse, like in front of a property, a little house, or an achsadra, or like a portico, or marpeset, or like a balcony that serves like an entrance. All these things are not, they're not fully walled, they're not inhabitable. So a person, if he built that and he never used it yet, he would not go back. Or if only 4 trees, or even 5 trees, but they don't give off fruit. Or if one who goes ahead and remarries his divorced wife, that's not considered to be a ptur. Or let's say it was a forbidden marriage, such as a to a widow to a kohen gadol, grusha chutz to kohen hedyot, mamzeres in the city of Israel, bas mamzer in the scene. So all these which are permitted by lavim, or even a chayv lo haya chayzer. He would not go back. He would continue on in war. Even a person rebuilt his house. Let's say he took it down and rebuilt it. That is not considered to be a new simcha or something which is new for him to enjoy, and therefore he continues to go out. He goes to battle. Even when he goes out and uses the bricks from the area of Sharon, over there, I guess it was not good soil, and the whatever bricks were making there would not last long. They would. Right. So right. So no, there. Right. It's right. The brick would crumble, and they would not last long. Now, Elu Shein Zazimim Kamen. These are the ones who they were drafted. They came out to the border. They heard the speech, and they said, "Okay, we're pater." But these people don't even have to go out to the border. Right? It took me a while last night to figure out the two differences. But this is over here. Elu Shed Zazim and Kaiman Bana Bais the Chancho, right? He built a house and then he inaugurated. Let's say he moved in, but he hasn't been there for a year yet. So once you sort of taste, right, the newness, right? So once you move into the house, but you've only been for a month, then you have another 11 months of tour. Or not the Karen B'Chagla. Or he planted the vineyard, he inaugurated it, and then he still has, then he didn't enjoy the fruits yet, so he can go ahead and enjoy the fruits. Nice as a Rusasa, or one who marries his Arusa, not just engaged, but he marries her now, he's living with her, and he's only living with her for 2 months, he has another 10 months. And Hakadosh Yivinto, even one who goes ahead and marries his sister-in-law, right? His brother's wife. Also, such a person goes back. Shinazba says, "Nakia lebeso shana achas." He should be clean in his house for 1 year. Lebayze, lebeito zebesa. Right. So it says for his house is referring to a house. Yeah, zekarma. That's referring to if he just planted a vineyard, inaugurated, but never, or it was v'chalab, and he never enjoyed it for a year. The samach. And it says V'simach Achishto, and he made his wife have, so that's referring to a man who's married to a woman. And Asher Lokach, the Asher Lokach is Lahavi Es Yivimto, even a person who goes ahead and marries his sister-in-law for Yibum. And these people ain't not seeking my mazon in Besakas and John. They don't even have to go out and provide for the needs of their fellow soldiers. Fine. Zok the Gemara. Tana Rabbanan. It says V'dibra Shaitim. So the officers speak, Yaakov, you might think, these are only his sayings. However, there's all these things. In other words, understand, if the Dibra, which is a Pasuk Hay, says, and the Shaitim speak, and this is their speech, that's fine. But then it says, in Pasuk Ches, 3 Pasukim later, it says, and in addition, and they added, right? The shaitim, the officers added. Well, what do you mean? Now they're speaking. They spoke before. What's going on here? So now that's really those things that were said earlier. Did you have a house that you didn't live in yet? Did you marry a woman? Did you plant a vineyard? So who is saying that? So is that only later on? Right? Or is because over there it says the officers say, hey, if you're scared, right? Don't be scared from the other soldiers, right? Don't be scared from them. So who's the one saying, he who built the house, he who planted the vineyards? Who's going to say that? So, okay, it's Kohen Medaber, the Kohen says, the Shaitim Mashmiya, and the Shaitim, the officers make sure it's heard, i.e. they repeat it. So now, Tani's not the Kohen Medaber, Shaitim Mashmiya. We have one Bryce that says, the Kohen says it, and the Shaitim, the officers repeat it. But Tani, the Bryce says, Kohen Medaber, Kohen Mashmiya, then the Kohen says, he who built the house. Says, and then the Kohen Mashmiya, then the Kohen goes ahead and repeats it again, make sure everyone heard that he ever built a house. He says that part again. But Tani says, it's the officers who give the instructions whoever built the house, and then they repeat it. Also, whoever built the house, make sure everybody heard. So Rabbi no. So this is how it works. How's it? The Dabra Kohen Medaber. Right? Right, the Dibra Kohen. So from the beginning of the parak, it says when the Kohen approaches until is the part is that when he says Hashem Yeleichem Achem, right, and Shema and all that, that's the Kohen speaking. Then from that is Medaber Kohen Kohen Mashmiya. That is the Kohen saying, and then the Kohen repeats it. And then from the part of whoever built the house and didn't inaugurate it yet until the other part, then the Kohen says. If a Shaitim Mashmiya, then the officers go ahead and repeat it. And however, the other part when he says, right, whoever is scared, right, whoever's scared, who says that? That is V'yasiv Veilech till the end. That's Shaitim Medaber, Shaitim Mashmiya. That is Shaitim is the one who says it, and he repeats it so that they all hear. So there are 3 speeches, and the first one is Kohen Kohen, then Kohen Shaitim, then the last one is Shaitim Shaitim. 3 speeches were, Hashem is going to wage war for you, right? He who, he who built the house and wife and vineyard is Pater, and the third speech was that if you're scared, then go back, right? Right, the person who's scared. Now, so Tana Bana says Asher Bana, Ein Liela Asher Bana. I only know that he built it. How do we know if he purchased it or inherited it or was given to it as a gift? How do we know that he goes back? It says mi ha'ish asher bana. It says they asked for mi ha'ish asher bana, anybody. So asher bana bais. So only a bais, only know house. How do you know these types of storehouses for straw or cattle or wood? So Tamalay, therefore it says asher bana, right? It says asher, right? And there was built, it knows any makom, anyway, any type of house. Maybe even something which is inhabitable, doesn't have full walls, such as a gatehouse or a portico or balcony. So Tamalay, therefore it says bias. So ma bias or the dira. I've called really they're only something that can be lived in, but which would exclude Beishach Sajin or Pesach. And Rav Eliezer ben Yaakov, no, bias kamashmo, only a house, right? So only a house. And he argues, he says, no, not these other things, not even the storehouse or wood storage, none of those work. Mm-hmm. And it says, he has not gone ahead and inaugurated it. Mm-hmm. It says, it doesn't say that, it says, right? It says he didn't inaugurate it, the extra vav. So therefore, Prat Gazon has to his inauguration has to be his. This would exclude someone who stole a house. Says, hey, I can't go to work. I'm living in my new stolen house.
Like today, they'll do anything not to go to the house. Is it the house tahar?
Yeah. So Lema the like Rabbi Yezegli. Let's say something Rabbi Yezegli. I understand. So you need a pasuk to exclude someone who stole a house. So it must not be like Rabbi Yezegli. Di Rabbi Yezegli Hamar. It says Barach Halevav. So it says, and if you're soft house, Zahamisyarim Yaveros. Right, that a person with Averos turn pages, a lot of pages. There's 7, I guess. Yeah. Right, Averos should be yondo. A person who has Averos doesn't go. So I understand. A person steals a house, he has Averos, so he should be putter from having. So he should be out in the war in the first place. No, it's the guy did tshuva. He paid the guy. He stole the house. He took it, whatever it was. But he said, "Okay, I stole it from him, but here's the money." See, okay, that's the case. Have a look at, right? If that's the case, he's no longer a thief. He's a buyer. Really harder, and he should go back for being a buyer. The Gemara says, "No, came from the mikara b'toras gazelo, since it came from the toras gazelo, that's what it's referring to. Exclude such a case." Asher nota, Karen, person who planted a vineyard, Satano, Rabbanon, Asher nota, that which he planted. The yellow nut, I only know planting. Lokach, V'yoresh, V'nita Lebatana, Minayin. How do you know if he purchased it or inherited it or it was given to him as a gift? How do you know that he also goes back for that vineyard? Tamalemar, therefore it says, Umi ha'ish Asher nota, right? Therefore it says over there, Mia'ish is going to ish of any type of any person who has it. So should not take care. So in the yellow care, my only know vineyard. But now the rabbis come. How do you know 5, let's say, fruit-bearing trees? And if there are different types of trees, therefore it says asher nata, right? Asher, right? Therefore it says. So it says who is the person that planted? Does not say they planted a vineyard, since it doesn't say asher kerem nata, right? But it says asher nata, he who planted, meaning any type of planting. Not doesn't have to be a vineyard. It can be any type of fruit-bearing orchard or field. Maybe it can even be 4 trees or ones that don't give off fruits. Therefore it says Karen has to be similar to a Karen. Rebbe and Yaakov, no, Karen, but Mashma. Rebbe and Yaakov, we're going to see a lot of in the later bottom of the staff. He says, no, only a vineyard. You go back, you planted 5 apple trees, right, in the shape of 4 and 1, like that picture. Too bad. Now it says loichi. It doesn't say it could have said loichi. Well, right? It, right? So pratla mavrich lamark says this brisa, person that inaugurated to exclude someone that layered or grafted. In other words, we'll only concentrate on the grafting part. If someone grafted something, right, then he does not go back. Only if you plant a vineyard, but not if you graft a vineyard. So what says our Mishnah says whether you plant or layer or graft. So Rav Zera, Rav Chizda loy kasha. Kan bar kavas iser, kan bar kavas het. So one is not when you graft, right? So I don't really have, right? So when you graft, right? So you take something and then you like the host tree, and then you put another branch into it. Okay. So over here we're talking about there's 2 different species. You can't do 2 different species together. It's a form of kiloim. So therefore it's not permitted. So Gemara says, so if it's kavas iser, is usher to do. So that's the one that you don't. That's the one you don't go back for, right? And the camera goes out there, but if it was a permissible grafting, then it'll be okay. So hi, hakavas heter. Hey, I understand the case. So what's the case of where he would go back because he just grafted it and he hasn't enjoyed the tree yet for 3 years plus the year of Netarvai. So Ilema Yalda, if it's just, Yalda Yalda, no, it's a brand new tree with a brand new tree, it's the host and the regular one, are they asked? So typically, right? If this is a new and this is new and I just grafted this and if I got to enjoy it, I don't even need to graft. I planted this one, right? I planted this one. So typically, Mishum Yalda, Rishayna. So Ella Yalda was the Cana. Rather, it was an older fruit tree that I put in a new branch. Yalda Shesivka is the Cana. If you go ahead and you graft a new branch into an old tree, so which year is it? Batla Yalda was the Cana. We don't care the age of the branch. It's an older tree. The older tree doesn't require Orla and Netarvai, and therefore it wouldn't pater him in the first place. Right? But then Orla, there's no Orla. Really, it's a new a new branch in a new host tree. So if that's the case, why do you need to say he grafted it? You could just say that he what's it called? Why did you say he grafted it? You just planted the new one, the host, before he grafted it. For a case of where a person, let's say, he planted, let's say, a fruit tree, right? But for the purpose of being like a fence, he didn't do it for the fruit, right? He doesn't want the fruit. He did it for the fence. So if one plants something for the purpose specifically of, let's say, being a border, being a fence, then there is no orla on that tree. The time of the Mishnah, when he goes ahead and plants something as a fence, as a boundary, then he is pater from orla. So that's the case of here. So if it's because the host is not chai for orla, but by the grafting, that makes him a case of where he would have to. And therefore, if one goes and grafts it, then we were talking about a case of where he is pater because of the grafting, and where he's not pater from the grafting is when there was, let's say, an old one. Yeah.
Person plants a tree and he says it's for a fence, not for fruit. You don't eat the fruit because there's no.
So once if he starts to eat the fruit and collect the fruit, then it's probably. I mean, this is not the halachas of that case, but I assume they'll be mavatul as das. We'll soon see that stam, something that was planted, is for fruit. Mm-hmm. But if you have specific, in mind, that I'm not going to use the fruit, then you pater from orla. This is a part of an orla. Umayshna yalda is a kana de batla, right? Umayshna yalda delay batla. I understand. You just said before when you put a new one into an old one, the old one is mavatal, and the whole thing is considered to be old. So why is if this was planted for wood, right, or if this was planted for a border, and this was planted for fruit and grafted into there? Why don't you say it's mavatal to the host, and the host is pater from orla, so to the grafting should be pater from orla, right? Why don't you say that? So it says, so hasam imam lavas mihadr. Once, if you want to go ahead and be mavatal, say, this old tree is now new. You can't be mavatal and make it chayiv and orla. Once it's old, it's old. It's already 5 years in, it's old. You can't make it ever chayiv orla. But over here, if he decides after you planted the tree to be his border, he says, you know what, I like this fruit, right? Almost like your case, Mark. And he says, I'm going to start eating the fruit. Then it goes back and becomes a fruit tree, and it's chayv and orla for the first 3 years. Because we see something that was normally with das is for peros. It's like when they grew on its own. If they grew on its own, then chayav and orla, then chayv orla. So Gemara wants to know, why don't you go ahead and establish the case of the machlekes of when your grafting is chayv or pater? It's a case of two partners. One person owns the host tree. So the host tree, let's say, is an older, right? So he would not, because let's say it was not planted for, right? It was planted for something else. But the one who grafts, he's the one who would be pater from going out in war. Right? Right? Each one would have their own. In other words, and one would be chayes and one would be not. So Papa is by the fact that we didn't get it there is Kerem Shoshei Shutvin in Chayzin Allah Marchem Mechama. That by the fact that it says that if it was for to Shutvin, then the person who grafts would not be Chayzer for war. I understand. Why do you say one who grafts goes ahead, he returns to war? But Maishta, in other words, since it's not specifically owned, right? If it's grafted for him, right? Even the grafting is not enough because we see that wasn't a tear. So if you see just grafting alone is not enough because I don't completely own it because it's owned by partners. Well, there's 5 brothers. And the other one of them dies, and his wife falls to 4 brothers. The Kulon Chayzer. Each one is Chayzer. Each one doesn't own her. You said in case of the grafting, he doesn't own it, so therefore, he doesn't completely own it, so therefore he's not putter. So over here, he doesn't completely own this woman because she's owned by 4 men. So each one can call her Ishta when there's the Zika before any of them. However, but over here, you can't call it his own vineyard. Rav Nachman, when it goes ahead and grafts a tree, right, fruit tree into an herb, right, so a vegetable, right? We're talking about that's the case of here. Now, because the host tree is a vegetable, you wouldn't be chayiv. But since over here you grafted a fruit branch into it, so therefore now for the grafting makes you potter. According to this Tana, the Tana of the Bryce, Mater. He says one is allowed to go ahead and do it. That's not considered to be kilayim. And he said no. Now we'll do 2 more halachas, and we'll stop a little early. So, not early, but late in the hour. But he said Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is the other man. He was the one in the Mishnah who says when it says kerem, right? It's only vineyard, right, and not anything else. So, and also he would also say that it's only planting asher nata, that which you plant and not grass. The price that says that you're putter from grafting is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. And Lama is ben Yaakov has some keren, right? Kamashmal. So he doesn't say over there. So Hakanami nata kamashmal. So the word says planting means planting specifically. Nata'in mavri chamar kivlo. Therefore, it's only planting and not grafting or layering. Just a separate halacha, we see different halachas of him. If it's a young tree, which is a small tree, which will never grow more than a tefach, chayavas b'orla. So even though, right, it never is a chayv orla. For the first 3 years, it looks too small. It's too small. Doesn't matter. Why? Because kolsha the bizchazi kabashas. Because if people see that a person is eating from it, right, it looks like it's in his first year. So therefore, it's chayiv and orla if we see him eating from it. That's only when it's 2-2-1 that we saw 5. But the entire vineyard is these small trees. Then everyone says, okay, this is how these grow, and since they're too small, then you don't need to go ahead and follow orla there. All right, we'll stop over here. So tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem will just pick up from here, and we'll try and make it back. And we'll make sure right here tomorrow.